The wind howled across the broken rocks of Dravos 9. Once a green world, now it was a battlefield filled with ash, ruins, and silence. A squad of elite trainer soldiers stepped out of their dropship. Their armor gleamed under the gray sky, their weapons humming with power. Commander Vex stood tall, his 3 eyes scanning the landscape. "This is the last human outpost," he said. "No signs of resistance. Move in, clear it out." The soldiers moved fast, confident. They had crushed 20 other human camps. This one would be no different. But then they saw him. A lone human stood in the middle of the ruined buildings. He wore no armor, no helmet, just dusty clothes. In his hand he held a small white box, a medkit. Vec froze. His voice turned sharp. "Everyone stop." The squad halted, confused. "What's wrong, Commander?" asked one of the younger soldiers. Vec's voice trembled. "He's holding a medkit. So he's just a medic." "No, not just a medic," Vec said. "That's a red sigil medkit." Now the squad looked again. The white box had a small red symbol just, a simple cross, but 2 trained soldiers. That mark meant only one thing: danger, fall back. Vec shouted, "Retreat now, get to the ship." But it was too late. The human raised his head. He looked directly at them and smiled. The first explosion came from behind. The trainer dropship went up in flames. No one had touched it, no one had seen anything placed. Yet the fuel tank blew apart as if set off from inside. Then the ground, beneath the nearest soldier, cracked open. A landmine disguised as a first aid kit threw him into the air. Screams followed. "He's booby-trapped the whole zone," Vec yelled. One soldier fired at the human. But the man was already gone, vanished into smoke. Suddenly, from the ruins, soft music began to play. A calm earth melody. Something about it chilled them deeper than any scream. "Where is he?" one soldier whispered. "He's playing with us," Vec said. "That's what they do, the white demons." The trainer had heard rumors, stories told in whispers. Humans had a program, a secret unit. Medics trained not only to heal but to kill, to infiltrate, confuse, destroy morale. They carried no guns, but they didn't need them. Their tools, bandages, syringes, scalpels, were all weapons in disguise. These medics didn't patch wounds, they made new ones. A scream came from the left flank. A soldier had fallen, his helmet, pierced by something thin and sharp, an injection needle, fired from the shadows. "Regroup, get behind cover," Vec barked. But the ruins offered no safety. Every wall had traps. Every box might explode. The medic knew the terrain better than they did. He had said it all before they arrived. Vec's heart pounded. "This was a setup," he whispered. "They knew we'd come." Another soldier, one of the veterans, spoke up. "Commander, I heard about this from the Krell front. A single human medic wiped out a whole squad. They said he used medical tools to cut down 10 warriors in silence." Vec nodded slowly. That wasn't a rumor. That was him, the red sigil. Above them, drones buzzed. Not trainer drones, human, quiet, almost invisible, watching, recording. The medic was not just fighting, he was collecting data. One of the injured soldiers crawled toward Vec, blood dripping from his side. "Help me." Before Vec could move, the man gasped. Something had pierced his back. A small knife, thin as a scalpel. The medic was right behind the man. None of them had seen him come. Vec opened fire into the smoke, but hit nothing. Then a voice echoed across the battlefield. Calm/steady. "Human, you should have left when I gave you the chance." It wasn't shouted, it wasn't angry. That made it worse. The voice sounded like a doctor about to perform surgery. Cold, focused, "We surrender." Vec screamed, "I surrender." The voice answered softly, "Too late." A flashbang dropped. From above, white light, then silence. When Vec woke up, he was tied, lying on the floor. His soldiers were gone, dead or vanished, and across from him, sitting on a broken crate, was the human medic. He looked normal, young, calm. He cleaned his tools quietly. "You're not a soldier," Vec whispered. "I was never meant to be," the human replied. "But you forced our hand. Why do they send people like you? You're supposed to heal." "I do," the medic said. "I heal my people, and I remove the disease that hurts them." Vec felt a chill. "No," the human said, standing up, "just trained." The medic leaned down, placing something beside Vec's head, a small vial, harmless looking. "What is that?" "A message," the human said. "To your commanders." He walked away, vanishing into the smoke once more. Vec lay there, trembling, his army defeated by one man, no by one medic, and far away. In a dark control room on Trainer Prime, generals watched the footage captured by the drones. They watched their soldiers fall, their ship explode, the calm face of the human medic. One general stood up, pale and shaking. "Issue a new command," he said. "Sir, if any soldier sees a human holding a medkit, they are to run immediately, even if it's just a real medic." The general turned slowly. "There's no such thing as just a human medic anymore." The council room on Trainer Prime was silent. The generals watched the final moments of Commander Vec's squad again. Screen after screen showed smoke, fire, and one figure moving through it, all a human medic with nothing but a white box marked by a red cross. General Zoll turned away from the screen. "This can't be real. One man did this." "He's not just one man," said Admiral Kell. "He's part of something bigger." "What do you mean?" another asked. Kell took out a small chip and inserted it into the table. A new file opened, Project Red Cross. Everyone leaned in. Kell began to speak. "This is not a myth, it's real. Decades ago, the humans created a secret program. They took their best medics and trained them not just in healing, but in war." "Why medics?" a general asked. "Because no one expects a medic to kill," Kell replied. "They move behind enemy lines. They're allowed near wounded, near leaders, near bases. And by the time anyone realizes what they are, it's too late." The room fell into heavy silence. On the battlefield, the enemy feared guns. But now, they feared medkits more far across the stars. On a hidden moon near Earth's border, a young trainee named Raya Lin stood in front of a table. On it were normal medical tools, bandages, needles, scanners. "Tell me," said the instructor, "what's the deadliest item on this table?" Raya pointed to the surgical blade. "No," the instructor said. "Try again." "The syringe," she guessed wrong again. Raya frowned. "Then what is it?" The instructor smiled. "All of them?" He picked up the medkit and opened it. "Every item in here can heal or kill. It depends on who holds it." Raya watched as the instructor showed her how to convert a scanner into a signal jammer, how to use a bandage as a timed fuse, how to deliver a neurotoxin through an IV line, all without raising suspicion. "You are not just a medic," he said. "You are the blade in the dark, the ghost in the smoke. You walk through blood, but leave no footprints." Raya listened, eyes wide. She understood now why the Galaxy feared them. It wasn't the medkit, it was the person who carried it. Months passed on the alien world Karnath. An entire outpost of 300 trainer troops waited for backup. Their scanners had picked up human movement nearby. The commander, Gorn, didn't seem worried. "It's just a small human scout team," he told his officers. "We'll crush them before sunset." But as the sun began to set, a small drone appeared at the edge of the forest. It hovered for a few seconds and dropped something, a white box, a medkit. The soldiers laughed. "That's their attack," one said, but Commander Gorn wasn't laughing. He took a step back. "I want a full scan of this base." Now the tech team ran checks but found nothing. No humans nearby, no signals, no movement still. Gorn didn't feel safe that night. One soldier vanished, then two. By morning, 20 were missing. By evening, the power grid went offline. The food storage was poisoned, and in the middle of the base, someone found a note. For words, "You saw the medkit." Gorn lost control of the base within 3 days. By the time reinforcements arrived, the outpost was empty. Not destroyed, abandoned. No bodies, no weapons left behind. Just one white medkit sitting in the command room. Back on Trainer Prime, panic was growing. An emergency meeting was held. "We need to identify every human with medical training." One general shouted. "That won't help," Kell replied. "They blend in. They wear no rank. They don't use standard tactics. And the worst part?" He paused. "They want us to fear them." A silence spread again. "They don't just kill us," another general whispered. "They break our spirit." Meanwhile, Raya Lin was on her first mission. Her target, an alien base producing anti-human weapons. Her orders: infiltrate, disable, vanish. She dressed in the uniform of a civilian medic. No weapons, no armored dot. She entered the base by posing as a captured Earth nurse. The trainer guards laughed. "She's just a girl," one said. "Let her sit." "No threat here," said another. Raya smiled quietly. By night, she moved room by room. She placed tiny devices inside air vents. She mixed chemicals in the labs. She added liquid memory wipes into the base's water by dawn. The entire base had forgotten who she was or why their systems were failing. The commander woke up in his office and found a bandage wrapped around his desk, written on it in small, clear words. "Your cure is now your end." The base exploded 10 minutes later. Back at Human Command, leaders reviewed the success rate of Project Red Cross. Over 600 missions. 0 losses. Each agent armed with only a medkit. Earth didn't need bigger weapons anymore. They had something better. Fear. In the following weeks, more alien units fled when they saw humans with medkits. Some surrendered without a fight. One alien empire, the Varnak Dominion, passed an official law. All soldiers must avoid contact with human medics. Do not engage, do not approach. Retreat immediately. This law spread quickly across the galaxy. Now, when human ships landed, even if unarmed, enemy scanners searched for one symbol, a red cross, and if they saw it, they ran. On the edge of the galaxy, a tired trainer soldier wrote a message to his family: "We don't fear Earth's ships anymore. We don't fear their weapons. We fear the white box. We fear the smile that comes with it. We fear the silence that follows after." The war was changing. The galaxy had once seen medics as harmless. Now, they were something else. Something terrifying. Something unstoppable. Because the humans had learned a deep truth to win a war. You don't always need to fire the first shot. Sometimes, you just need to carry the medkit. The council hall on Zarnak 4 was filled with shouting. Alien leaders argued, pounded tables, and waved data reports in the air. Red warning lights flashed above them. "This is the third base in 1 week," shouted High Commander Trell. No explosions, no survivors, only a single white box found at the scene. "They're not attacking with fleets," another general said. "They're sending medics." A dark silence followed. Zarnak 4 was the heart of the military empire, known for its brutal training programs and powerful armies. Yet now its strongest officers were afraid. The room's main screen lit up with images of destroyed bases. Each scene looked the same. Empty rooms, no battle signs. Just a single human medkit left behind. A red cross on a white box. Over and over, one by one. "This ends today," Trell declared. "I will not let my empire fall to doctors." That night, Trell signed a new law, Law 173. If a human with a medkit is seen on any world retreat, evacuate, do not engage. Soldiers were confused. Some laughed. A medkit. Why run from that? But veterans didn't laugh. They had seen too much. They remembered the screams, the silence, the way an entire base could disappear after a single medic visit, far away. Hidden in the mountains of Jarosix, a new outpost had just been built. Fresh troops, brand new tech, high walls, turrets, scanners. The base commander, Roktal, felt safe. "We've learned from past attacks," he told his men. "This base is untouchable. Even Earth's best killers can't get in here." His officers nodded. But the next day, a small shuttle crashed outside the base. No weapons, no fire, just smoke. Inside was one human, a medic. Unarmed. Bleeding. Weak. His name tag read LT Ezravane. The guards brought him in, found him in the shuttle wreck, they reported. Commander Rock frowned. "He's a medic. Alone. He begged for help, said he's not part of the war." "Quarantine him," Rock said. "Scan everything. If he moves, shoot him." Ezra was taken to the medical room. He smiled politely. "Thank you for helping me." The guards said nothing. The doors locked. 3 hours later, the power grid went dark. The scanner logs were erased. Security cameras turned off one by one. By the time Commander Rock reached the medic room, Ezra was gone. But his medkit wasn't. It sat open on the table. Inside it were strange items, none of them medical. A small hacking device, a folded transmitter, explosive gel packed inside, fake gauze. The guards had never noticed. An alarm screamed through the base. Something was wrong. One officer shouted, "Sir, We've lost control of the defense turrets. They're targeting us. Explosions began, not from outside, from within. Commander Rock realized it too late. They hadn't taken in a wounded man. They had invited death into their base. Back on Zarnok 4, the escape pods from Jera 6 arrived. Only 7 survivors. One of them, a young soldier, kept repeating the same sentence. He smiled at me. He smiled. While everything burned, the High Council listened quietly. Trell stood slowly. Begin the evacuation of high-security bases. Shut down all landing zones not approved for full scans. One general raised a hand. "But, sir, the war is already lost if we can't stop this," Trell said. His voice dropped. "We didn't lose 2 weapons. We lost a fear." Meanwhile, LT Ezra Vane walked alone through the frozen fields of Jera 6. Behind him, smoke filled the sky. He took out a small radio mission complete. "Outpost neutralized." A voice replied, calm and proud. "Confirmed. You are clear for extraction." Ezra looked at his white medkit, blood on the handle, dust covering the red cross. He whispered to himself, "No one fears the gun anymore. They fear the hand that carries this." Elsewhere, the alien news networks broadcast warnings. If you see a human carrying a white box with a red cross run, do not speak, do not aim, do not challenge, just run. The warning was repeated across systems worlds and military channels. It became the most translated phrase in the galaxy. Run from the Red Cross. Young alien cadets were shown training videos. "Watch closely," said the instructor. "You may think this is a healer, but look again." The video played. A human entering a base, smiling, unarmed. Then lights went out, then fire, then silence. The instructor paused the video. "What weapon did he use?" No one answered. The instructor smiled grimly. Fear. In one of Earth's secret bases, a group of trainees stood in front of a screen. Raya Lin was now one of the instructors. "You've all passed the healing tests," she told them. "But now comes the real challenge." She opened a large case. Inside it were tools in ascent. At first glance, Raya picked up a simple roll of medical tape. "This is your most powerful weapon," she said. A trainee raised a hand. "How? It's just tape." Raya stared into his eyes. "Because when they see it, they'll remember the stories. They'll panic. They'll hesitate. And that's when you strike." She closed the case. Project Red Cross doesn't win with bullets. We win with the silence that comes after. On the battlefield, the change was clear. Alien soldiers began to abandon posts at the first sight of white boxers. Commanders hesitated to launch attacks if there was even one report of a medic nearby. Entire fleets turned back when scanners picked up the shape of a human life pod with medical gear. Fear was now a stronger weapon than fire, and Earth knew it. They sharpened it like a blade. One last meeting was held on Zetter OK-4. Trel stood before the council for the final time. "I warned you," he said. "We laughed at humans. We thought they were soft, weak, always healing, always helping." He raised a data pad, but the medkit wasn't their weakness. It was their trap. The pad played the last message from Jera 6 screams, static, then silence. One last sound followed, a calm voice, Ezra Vane, saying one sentence, "Remember, doctors are trained to know your body. We just decided to break it instead of fix it." The Zarnok Empire shut down all outer bases. They cut communication lines. They called back every fleet. They feared not Earth's armies but Earth's medics, and across the galaxy everyone knew if a human with a medkit walks onto your world, don't ask questions. Don't test your luck, just run. The war had reached its end, or so the galaxy thought. The humans had not sent fleets. They had not fired missiles. They had sent something else. A fear that walked on 2 legs. A silence that came with a white box. A terror marked with a red cross, now Earth, prepared for its final move. Not with armies, not with generals, but with a single medic. His name was Miles Kale. Old records called him the first. Blade of Project Red Cross. The first medic trained not just to heal but to hunt. He had vanished from history for 10 years. Some thought he was dead. Others whispered that he had become a myth, but now Earth had called him back. Miles stood inside a small shuttle, alone. His eyes calm, his hands steady. He looked at his old medkit. Its edges were worn. The red cross faded with time, and yet it still worked. He opened a secure line to command. "This is Kale. I'm ready," a voice answered. "Target confirmed. The Zarnak core." "You are authorized to engage," Kale smiled faintly. "Understood." At the heart of the Zarnak Empire, the core stood tall, a space station the size of a small moon. It controlled weapons, communications, defense grids, and fleet. Command, protected by 1,000 ships. Guarded by elite soldiers, no one, not even Earth's best fleets, had ever broken through. But Miles Kale wasn't a fleet. He was one man with one box. Inside the core, alarms went off. "Unidentified shuttle approaching," shouted the tech. Officer Commander Luro stood up. "Send ships. Destroy it before it reaches us." But the shuttle didn't fire. It didn't even try to dodge. It simply drifted slowly, as if nothing mattered, until it docked. One figure stepped out. No armor, no gun, just a man with a white medkit. Panic spread through the core like fire. Seal the doors. Activate turrets. Evacuate command staff. But it was too late. Miles Kale was already inside. He moved quietly through the halls. Every step calculated. Every move silent. Guards tried to stop him, but traps had already been laid. Walls collapsed. Gas-filled vents. Elevators froze. Kale didn't even need to fight. He had already won. Commander Luro watched the cameras. One by one, each screen turned black. "No weapons," he whispered. "No ships, no soldiers, just him." A soldier entered the room, trembling. "Sir, we have to run." Luro turned to the soldier. "Do you know what happens if we run?" The soldier nodded. "We live." Kale entered the main control center. No guards, no resistance, only fear. He placed his medkit on the table, opened it. Inside, nothing but surgical tools and medical records. But the station's defense AI lit up warning. Messages scrolled across the screens. System override detected. Security codes compromised. Self-destruct sequence armed. The AI recognized him. His signature was burned into every military database in the galaxy. Kale didn't need to fight. The system surrendered on its own. Chair opened a data channel and spoke calmly to all forces of the Zarnak Empire. "This is Earth's final message. We are not conquerors. We do not come to destroy. But we warned you, and you didn't listen. Now you will learn the cost of ignoring those who only wished to heal." On every Zarnak screen, across every fleet, the image of Miles Kale appeared sitting.com with the red cross glowing behind him. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Ships turned away. Entire planets shut down communications and went dark back on Earth. Leaders watched in silence. "He did it," one of them whispered. Project Red Cross had never been about power. It had been about control, about fear, about changing the rules of war. Miles Kale stood in the hangar of the Zarnak core as evacuation pods launched behind him. He closed his medkit slowly. Mission complete. But as he walked back to his shuttle, he paused. A young Zarnak soldier stood before him, alone, afraid. The boy raised a shaky weapon. "Don't come closer," he said. Kale stopped. "I'm not here to kill you. You're lying. You always lie." Kale slowly placed his medkit on the floor. "Do you know what this is?" The boy nodded. "The thing we fear." Kale shook his head. "No, this is the thing you turned against us. We offered peace. You brought war. We offered medicine. You gave us poison." The boy's hands lowered. Kale picked up his medkit again and turned away. "You should fear the one who forced me to use this." 2 days later, the Zarnak Empire signed a full surrender. No more battles, no more attacks, no more attacks, and one final law was passed across the galaxy. No military unit shall ever approach a human with a medkit ever. Years passed, the war faded into history, but stories remained. Stories of the medics who walked through fire, who healed their friends, and destroyed their enemies without ever drawing a gun. They became legends, ghosts in white, angels of war, and the most famous of all was Miles Kale. Children on alien worlds grew up hearing the same warning. If you ever see a human carrying a red cross, don't ask questions. Don't be brave, just run. And far away, in a quiet forest on Earth, Miles Kale sat alone under a tree. His medkit rested beside him. He didn't carry it anymore. But still, animals stayed away. Even nature seemed to remember the fear. He smiled softly, not because he was proud, but because he hoped the galaxy would never need him again. The war had ended, but the memory of the Medkit would last forever.